Idaho just passed a new law that bans the teaching of critical race theory in public school. Now, if you're thinking of moving to Idaho, this is probably something you want to be aware of since this is now the new law. Critical race theory, or CRT, has been in the news a lot lately, but let me break it down just a bit for you so that you can understand exactly what the new law is here in Idaho. According to critical race theory, if you are part of a minority racial group, you are part of a system that is rigged against you. And if you're in the majority, you are an exploiter of that system. Racism, in their view, exists everywhere, and according to Tommy Curie, one of the founders of CRT, the law and legal institutions are inherently racist and are, quote, used by white people to further their economic and political interests at the expense of people of color. So what critical race theory does is it examines all of the social constructions of society critically in order to find racism. Critical race theory rejects color blindness and argues that merit standards should not be applied in society. So for example, you should not hire somebody on the basis of their merits or credentials, because that would further the inherent racism that is present in all levels of society. If you're part of a minority group, then you're part of a system that is rigged against you, and so your merits will be lower. So that's racist. Now this directly contradicts the civil rights movement of the 1960s. We could summarize the entire movement by quoting the famous line from Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, in which he said, "I have a dream that my 4 children will not be judged on the basis of their skin color, but on the content of their character."
Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
So what MLK was saying is that we should be colorblind. And I think most people agree with that. That's what led to the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Since LBJ signed the bill into law, we all know that you can't discriminate on the basis of color. You have to be colorblind. In other words, you can't say, "I won't sell my house to you because you have a particular skin color." Or a lender can't say, "We won't give a mortgage to somebody because they have a particular skin color." Now, critical race theory teaches that the civil rights movement was a mirage. It did nothing for equality. Racism simply hid itself, and white people used the civil rights movement for their own advantage. Derek Bell, one of the founders of CRT, argues that the civil rights movement was hijacked by white elitists and was used in order to advance their own self-interests. He said that the anti-discriminatory laws were passed simply in order to gain the support of third world countries so that the US could win the Cold War against Russia. Merit standards for hiring and education admissions are not race neutral. And if you're part of the majority, you've inherited racial guilt. Idaho thinks this is wrong. So what this new law does is it prohibits the teaching of critical race theory in higher education, school districts, public schools, and charter schools. The new law prohibits the teaching of sectarianism. And what they mean by sectarianism are 3 things. Number 1, you cannot say that one race, sex, national origin, or religion is superior or inferior to the other. Number 2, you cannot adversely treat someone on the basis of their race, sex, religion, national origin, etc. And number 3, you cannot teach that individuals, by virtue of their race, are inherently responsible for the actions committed in the past by other members of their race. So according to the new law, if an institution advocates sectarianism as defined above, they won't get any government money. And that's why they voted down the budget for the 4 Idaho State universities several weeks ago. I actually did a video explaining that several weeks ago. You can check out the link right here. So that's the new law here. No critical race theory in public schools. Definitely a win for conservative voices here who have consistently spoken out against racism in all forms. But what do you think? Is this a good law? Have I misunderstood something? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that red button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future videos.